GM, everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm back. Today is Saturday, the 4th of January. Let's get straight into Bitcoin because Bitcoin has actually done something quite significant yesterday. We've closed above both the daily 20 and the daily 50 moving averages, meaning that price is now back above all of the key daily moving averages. Obviously, I have been expecting Bitcoin likely to come off and either sort of retest the recent lows at around 91, 92,000, potentially going a little bit lower and tagging this 100-day moving average. I'm not going to say that's completely off the table, but obviously this is a pretty impressive sign of strength from the bulls to start off the new year. And it's now looking like what potentially might happen is we might get a higher low coming in here over the next week or two. Certainly, if this plays out the way I'm expecting it to, Bitcoin will probably see some sort of corrective price action over the next week and then look to put in a higher low before resuming higher going into later this month. And obviously, going in towards the end of the month when the Trump inauguration is going to take place, I think we will likely see clear skies for the cryptocurrency market really from now until then, or certainly from next week until then, if we do get one more push lower. So I think what we can probably do here is just sort of move that up to what will be my sort of latest thoughts on this. I think we probably come down to around about sort of 74,000, 73,000. Let's be a little bit conservative now and say we'll come down to around sort of 73,500 next week. And then I'd be looking for bulls to step into the market again and to run us higher. Interestingly, if we actually look at the ETF flows, obviously this is something we talked about yesterday. We talked about this abnormal reading for BlackRock, seeing a massive outflow to start the new year. It's actually been confirmed that this outflow is relating to the 31st of December. BlackRock are reporting their flows a day late. So actually the 2nd of January's flow for the BlackRock ETF was 253 million of inflow, which will align a lot better with the assumption that obviously towards the end of the year, you've got things like tax harvesting, you've got likely outflows whilst investors are looking to reposition in. And then you get this January, what they call the January effect, where investors sell a lot of their assets at the end of the year and then they rebuy those at the start of January. And this can actually lead to a situation where we get a bit of a slump in prices at the end of December. And then actually we get a nice boost in prices at the start of the new year in early January. And that seems to be potentially what we're seeing at the moment. So that's fairly encouraging. If we also just go over to the ETF flows, we can actually see it visualized on this graph. We can see how the flows are positive again. So obviously we had this cluster of outflows, probably easier to see this on a weekly, but we had these outflows coming in. Now we're starting to tip positive again. Obviously this orange line here is the Bitcoin price, and it tends to line up fairly well with lows. If you look at the orange line here, you can see these slumps in the price tend to line up with these outflows fairly accurately. Obviously not all the time, but we have seen these sort of isolated outflows tend to be panic coming into the market, and that tends to result in short-term bottoms, and that's exactly what we seem to have seen again here. So that supports the fact that we are likely going to be going bullish fairly soon. I also noticed this on X yesterday. So this is Michael Saylor with Eric Trump, obviously son of President Trump, at Mar-a-Lago. Two friends, one passion, Bitcoin. So it seems like the Trump family especially, and the Trump administration are very, very pro Bitcoin and pro crypto. Doesn't seem like it was just a fad or a headline or soundbite for Trump to win votes. It seems like the Trump family are full on pro crypto, obviously meeting with Mr. Bitcoin himself, Michael Saylor. So I just think there's going to be there's some really sort of positive momentum that's now starting to come back into the space after we saw quite a nasty shakeout sort of pre-Christmas, and obviously that move back to 90,000. I said this is where bulls have to step in. Bulls have stepped in at this support. We started to run higher. That's one, two, three, four now consecutive green days. And yeah, I mean, to actually confirm this is for me being a low, and we're likely to make our way back to new all-time highs sooner rather than later. I would really want to see 100K sort of taken out and held above, ideally a bit higher, around about 102,000. But look, I mean, this is quite nice price action. I think this low is fairly good here. Obviously, it's come down. It's filled in this inefficiency. We've obviously bounced off an area, a key area, which is this trend line here, which was coming all the way from the previous bull market tops. It was the connection of the last two bull market highs, and it's interesting to see that that trend line is now in play again and acting as support. So resistance has been flipped to support. Resistance on the way up, now flipped to support. And as long as we hold above that, there's really no sort of real danger for me or risk for me that we're not going to continue to mark up higher over the next few days and weeks for Bitcoin. So Bitcoin looking strong here. And like I say, I think with Trump's inauguration, it's likely we probably trend upwards into the end of January. And then from there, certainly if we get past the current all-time high at 108,000, we might come into this 115,000, potentially as high as 118,000. We've got some other targets for the Bitcoin price, and I do think this next breakout will be the breakout which really starts to send the altcoins. So if we just go on over to Ethereum, then we can see Ethereum has had a nice push. We talked about this yesterday, breaking out of its range. Obviously, it's started to look good here, currently around the 0.5 Fibonacci retracement level. So it's pierced through that. It's actually closed just a tick above it. So let's see if we can carry on to the next resistance that we mentioned yesterday, which was also 3,720, which was also a Fibonacci retracement level. And the next one would be this 3,820, obviously $100 higher. If Ethereum can close above there, then I'd be very, very confident in saying that Ethereum likely continues its up move up towards 4,100, likely breaking out from that and going to new all-time highs. So Ethereum in a fairly critical area here. And I really think I've been talking about Ethereum a lot, saying it is my big trade idea for Q1 of 2025. It is the asset that I think comes back to life, that really, really starts to take the lead for this market, that really starts to push on, gets its big breakout, obviously lagging behind the likes of Bitcoin and Solana in that respect. The fact it hasn't yet got back to its all-time highs for Ethereum are, of course, towards $5,000. If we sort of look back at the previous cycle's highs, we can see they are coming in at around $4,900. So I really do think that Ethereum is the one that is likely to make its move. We're seeing relative strength in Ethereum today. And yes, I am pretty optimistic here. I think any sort of pullbacks or dips in Ethereum next week that coincide with Bitcoin coming off, I think are likely good buying opportunities on the basis that Ethereum should run a lot higher throughout the rest of this quarter. And like I've said, I've got targets up to $7,000 on Ethereum over the next 3 to 6 months. So let's see what Ethereum can do. Looking at Solana, like I said yesterday, was trying to break out from this descending channel. It's actually broken out of the descending channel on the daily on yesterday's close. We're finding a bit of resistance here from the 50-day moving average on Solana. So let's see if we get a retest of $200. It might be that we just come down to like 206, 207, depending where we actually get that retest. I expect probably this descending diagonal does get retested at some point. So it could be for Solana that we do push on a little bit higher if Bitcoin makes a move a little bit higher to 100,000 or just above. And then we might actually see that pullback happen maybe next week, and at that point we might actually come down to back towards $200 for the retest of that descending diagonal. It remains to be seen, obviously, the timing that we get this test, but I think this test of this descending diagonal likely is a great spot to buy. And like I say, above the 50 moving average, then we'll be above all of the daily moving averages for Solana, and Solana likely starts to accelerate back towards 260 and to make new all-time highs over the next couple of months. So Solana's looking strong as well. Pepe has also started to push up. So again, similar really to Ethereum, it's back at its 50% retracement. It just closed above there, obviously pulling back a little bit today. Most of the market is pretty flat today or pulling back ever so slightly. So I do think Pepe likely gets bid again here. Right now it's testing its 50-day moving average. It can likely come down to this sort of 2000 level, maybe just below. Maybe we see a 19 handle again on Pepe. I think that would be a pretty good area to bid. I think traders will probably look to step in and get into Pepe at those sorts of prices in anticipation of obviously a move much higher over the next few weeks. It's also worth looking at Bitcoin dominance as well, because Bitcoin dominance is starting to break down. We've seen the start of the breakdown yesterday. I'm not saying that this is going to go sort of full-blown, sort of breakdown dump mode just yet, but I do think we are starting to see the first signs that alt season is approaching, and I think likely we've probably got a little bit further to go here. Maybe we get a bit of a retrace, i.e. a push back up in Bitcoin dominance when Bitcoin breaks out from its current all-time highs. I think at that point, after that happens, the altcoin market really, really starts to send, and potentially that could start as soon as the end of January, going into February. But like I say, probably some more consolidation in sort of Bitcoin dominance for now. Obviously, I say consolidation. Obviously, we are starting to come off, but I think there might be just a little bit of chop. I'm not expecting a super aggressive move just for now, but obviously, this is encouraging to see. I think the fact that Bitcoin is at the prices it's at, and we are starting to see that rotation into the altcoin space. I think at this point, with Bitcoin being at the levels it's at, obviously with Bitcoin sort of dominance going up on the breakout, now it's starting to come off. Now we're starting to see that rotation. I think that Bitcoin and altcoins can start to rally together over the next few months. And I expect altcoins to obviously be the beta play, to have the sort of the higher deviation to Bitcoin. So therefore, they're likely to see the best part of the gains. And that is why I'm saying you want to be looking at Ethereum. You want to be looking probably again at Solana, Pepe, some of the big cap meme coins. I think these are going to be the places to be positioned in. Obviously, certain utility tokens as well, ones that I've talked about in other videos, but ones that I will be making videos on very, very soon. So definitely altcoin opportunities are what I'm seeking right now. And I think they are the place that you're going to generate the best returns over the next 3 to 6 months, potentially over the whole course of this year into Q4 of this year, depending how the bull cycle or this year's bull market plays out. Just looking then quickly at traditional markets, obviously the dollar now closed today, but it pushed into the 618 Fibonacci retracement from the monthly swing high to swing low, and starting to find a bit of support, resistance there, making a bit of a wick. So let's see what the dollar does, whether it does start to stall and come off. That would obviously give a bit of a lift to the crypto sector. And just looking at the stock market as well, we can see the stock market finished the week with a nice wick. So if we just look at Friday's candle, obviously a nice recovery on the stock market. That's for the NASDAQ, the S&P also recovering. So recovery of sort of like 1 to 1.5%, not anything too huge, but it's good to see support coming in. Obviously the market's retesting that low making a slightly higher low. Both the Nasdaq and the S&P have made slightly higher lows, and what we now be looking for is these markets to get back towards their previous all-time highs. Obviously, that's going to be a best case scenario for the crypto market. And let's just get a uh, sort of trend line. We can put a, I haven't really drawn that very well. Let's try and get that a bit better, actually. No, I think I have. I just want to get the high of that candle. We can do something like this and say that yes, when the Nasdaq does cross this line, I'd be expecting acceleration. I'd expect that to be the breakout that we're probably looking for. Likely, this does happen over, I would say, over the next week, and that obviously might give a boost to crypto as well and to Bitcoin if the stock markets get back to all-time highs. Obviously, positive correlation between those assets. So, just back to Bitcoin then, in terms of what I'm expecting. Obviously, just to recap, things are looking good. We've closed above some critical daily moving averages. Everything seems to be playing out as expected for now in terms of us coming down into the value zone, finding support there. And honestly, I don't know if we actually get back down into this value zone again or not. Obviously, if we don't, I'm not going to be too upset. I'm still long Bitcoin. I still hold a lot of Bitcoin. And to be honest, even a shallow pullback in Bitcoin likely will create a bit of a sell-off in altcoins, which would be a great buy the dip opportunity. And any alts that do show a decent pullback from here, based on the fact that I do think we're going into what will be the biggest run or the biggest alt season in the crypto space, probably in the last 3 to 4 years, and it'll probably be the biggest run we see for the next 3 to 4 years. Obviously, based on the 4 year cycle, like I've said, we are going into that time of the cycle where the altcoin market should really, really start to outperform. So I will be coming up with some more altcoin videos soon. Obviously, I've got the videos about the meme coins, so I'm still investing in meme coins. They're the first place I'm looking to add to when we see weakness in these markets, just because I'm sticking to what has been shown to be the hottest sector in the market so far. AI is really starting to heat up as a sector, as a narrative. So I will be coming out with an AI specific picks video with my top AI plays. That'll probably come out over the next couple of days. So definitely do subscribe if not done so already, so you don't miss out on that one. And I will be back very soon. It's probably same place, same time tomorrow with the other GM stream. And have a lovely day. I'll talk to you all again soon on the next one. GM.